Hi, everybody, and welcome to week 9. Man, we are completely flying. We are in the process of closing out the class, which is amazing. And we're going to be getting a Thanksgiving break. I believe that's next week. And so look for a little bit of an extended week 9, and then you'll be able to go off and relax a little, recharge your batteries, spend some time with family, hopefully. And then we'll circle back for our final week 10, and then we'll be going right into finals. So we're in the home stretch. If you have any questions about your grades, if there's any assignments you want clarified, specific points, concerns, feel free to reach out to Lisa or myself, both of us, and we can help get that remedied. So there's still time to get issues corrected. And we don't want that to be, don't wait till the last minute on that. So we're definitely here for you. We want to help get you through this next final push. So we're going to do our little overview of week 9. I think Lisa's going to start us off first.
Absolutely. Okay, so let me share my screen here. And here we go. Okay, so I was rereading chapter 16 this morning, thinking about what work you're going to be producing this week. And I was heartened, even though I know that this is a knowledge-based, hardcore sort of upper level course. I'm really glad that the textbook that we're using in the English portion is as sort of touchy-feely as it is. So when I first started reading this, I was like, wow, this is a lot of information that feels sort of soft, pleasurable, optional, but it's not in a sense, or at the basis of everything, in the sense that it's very much about communication and intrapersonal and interpersonal relationships, and that this is as key to your experience as a professional as anything else that you're doing. And I really do feel that. So I hope that you enjoy the reading, because I find it enjoyable to think about the way people speak to themselves, to each other, and then in a professional setting. So chapter 16 does move on to some of those more core professional practices of interviewing and speaking to people, but it begins by sort of thinking and talking about yourself and your own experiences, and I appreciate that. So if it feels at all like fluff, let me suggest that it's nutritive fluff, if it is fluff. So moving beyond that, for this week, I've got a video that talks about proofreading, because last week you were focusing heavily on looking at someone else's work. And my hope is that that's very useful as you're reviewing your own work and proofreading your own work. But now you're doing the sort of heavy lifting of revising your own paper. And so this video on proofreading hopefully is useful to you. And then the discussion this week has you engaging with the scenario, because chapter 16 talks about some of those ways that we can tamper down, what's the word? We can dispel conflict in the workplace, which I think is really interesting and important. And so this discussion has you thinking about, well, what do I do in an HIM scenario if I'm tasked with something that feels difficult, a difficult conversation, as it were. So from my point of view, this has you thinking about the workplace and conflict resolution. And also for me, these discussions are always an opportunity for you to be writing and practicing writing. So I'm looking forward to seeing what you produce with this and how you're engaging with the other students in the class around this topic of conflict resolution. Again, as with so much with English studies, there aren't sort of hard and fast right and wrong answers. So you may think about resolving conflict in a way that wouldn't be my course, right? But you can still absolutely have full credit in this assignment, as long as it's thoughtful, it's engaging with the reading of chapter 16, and it's well written, and it's authentic, and it's well engaged. So, okay, the next assignment, which is a small one, completing this word choice exercise, again has you working with the content in chapter 16. If it feels like a small assignment, it is. I first of all, want to have you thinking again about word choice as you're proofreading and polishing your final draft of assignment 3. And I want to give you a lighter other assignment this week, since you do have assignment 3 due by the end of the week, and assignment 3 is worth more of the grade. Remember that you will have an opportunity once I give you feedback to revise it further. You can go back to the syllabus and look at that policy, but it's, as long as it's on time and as long as it's, your own work, that's something that you can continue to work on. So I'm hoping that all of these readings and videos and discussions and assignments this week are pleasurable and interesting, and that you have plenty of time and space to work toward assignment 3 and to give it your best shot. Please feel free to let me know if you have any questions, anything at all that I can clarify or make it easier for you to succeed with this. And again, this is the culmination of your hard work, and I'm looking really forward to seeing what you produce with this. And this, once you jump over this week 9 hurdle, it's kind of smooth sailing from here. Your next assignment is more reflective, it's a little bit more creative, it has you thinking beyond assignment 3, it's smaller, it's worth less of the grade. So once you get this polished, completed, submitted, you're good to go in the English portion of this. So let me know how I can support you. I'm happy to do that, and I wish you a wonderful week, and I'll turn it back over to Jonathan. Okay, let's see here.
Yeah, that's really apropos that they've got, like a little bit of a larger assignment, and then as they get it turned in, they go right into Thanksgiving holiday. So that's awesome.
Yes.
Yep. All right, so let me share my screen. There we go. Okay, so for week 9, we're continuing to dive into the revenue cycle. So last week, we introduced some of the core aspects of revenue cycle management. So for this next week, we're going to continue diving into some of the standardized terminology that you'll see in the industry. And then what are some of the core components of the revenue cycle itself? So the big thing is, like, how do you establish what things cost? How do you get reimbursed from both an insurance company, and how much do you know how to bill a patient? So all of that comes from charge capture. So if you have a nurse who's using, steri strips in the course of an inpatient stay, how do you ensure that gets added to the bill? And when you think about the idea of an inpatient stay versus an outpatient stay, what are the theories behind how they're being reimbursed? Because the DRG system is way different than the APC system. So there's a lot to it, and you're going to have a dedicated reimbursement class later in the program here, but this is just kind of to whet the appetite a little bit, give you enough of an understanding of where HIM fits within the revenue cycle aspect, the business side of healthcare. So you're going to finish out chapter 8. In your textbook, you've got 3 articles. The Journal of a Hemo one is really interesting because it's looking at how the revenue cycle is changing. And we're seeing that right now, especially with the explosion of outsourcing. So there are companies that are being set up that their only job is to run the revenue cycle for these large hospital chains. So, and it's kind of different. So, and in the day and era where our Medicare reimbursement rates are shrinking every year, seemingly, how do you operate your hospital and pay the bills and pay your employees when you get less revenue? And think about inflation, right? We're at 6%. That's pretty tough. So there's only 2 assignments this week, but the paper is a little bit larger in scope. It's only 2 pages, but you're prepared at this point to write about it. So the first one here is looking at the national coverage determinations, the NCDs. So these are those specific policies that Medicare has set up to pay out in various situations. So these little rules are called NCDs, and they apply nationwide. So you're going to basically dive into a scenario on bariatric surgery, and you're going to look at some of the specific rules. You can see I've got some screenshots for you that are walking you through a scenario, and based on that, you're just going to answer some questions about it. So this shouldn't take you a lot of time. I'd say less than an hour. If you're finding that any of the steps aren't quite right, just message me or post in the help me forum. But when I checked it out at the beginning of the quarter, it was still there. But you can see here where it says October 2020. So when I was setting up this class, it was September. So there may have been an update. I didn't check it recently. So if you find something's not matching up, just message me. I don't want you to waste a ton of time if it's something that we can resolve pretty easily, and I can help make that determination. So for your paper, it's just a 2-page paper, not too bad. And of course, you're following APA guidelines. So really a 2-page paper is a 1-page paper. So, and you're just exploring the role of clinical documentation improvement. So you're explaining what is it, what's its purpose, what does it look like, how does it relate to revenue cycle? Again, we're in the revenue cycle area. And then what challenges exist and what does the future look like for it? So try to keep it to that 2 pages. It's going to be a little bit hard, and you're going to have to integrate a lot of ideas into your paragraphs. So, but that's part of the challenge, because when you're working with management in these, in this professional setting, you're not going to be able to give them a 10-page thesis. So you're going to have to boil it down to, these are the bullet points that I need to get across, because you may have their attention for 30 seconds or a minute, and they have to be able to get through it. They're not going to be able to devote a lot of lengthy time to go through something that's academic in nature. So that's why we've got Lisa in here. That's why we're doing these exercises, to figure out how to focus our writing so that you're conveying what needs to be conveyed in a short amount of time frame. So there's a template ready for you to go. So just download that and you'll be able to rock and roll. So, but that's basically it for me. So I did want to share too that we did go through the feedback survey that you gave us. So I hear you. I understand. Lisa is, in the background saying, Jonathan, how can I support you? So I want to create a mechanism to help this situation kind of resolve itself and us finish strong in the class. So if you have any immediate things, you guys have my cell phone number, feel free to text me on stuff as I'm getting caught up. But if you were feeling wronged, or that it was a really hard thing for the midterm, I definitely heard that feedback, and I want to create an assignment that you could potentially take that would mirror what you did. That's different in scope, or different in, different answers. So that would give you that opportunity to kind of try it again now that some of the grading's caught up. So I'm sorry, it is, I don't want to say it is what it is, because it sounds calloused, but there's a lot of extenuating circumstances that have kind of led to this. But at the end of the day, I'm your teacher. This is my job. This is what I'm supposed to do. So I apologize for that, guys. And just know that your voices are being heard loud and clear. Lisa's heard it. She's looked at the feedback. I've talked with Corinne. So yeah, it'll get better and we'll finish strong. Okay. All right. With that, anything you want to say, Lisa?
Just to the point that you were making about the paper that you're requiring and the idea of writing in a condensed format, even though the assignment 3 that's due for my class is longer and it seems involved in various aspects, know that I too am really interested in this business of concision. And one of the reasons why I have you thinking about word choice this week is I want you to make it as small, even though it's I need you to make that word count. Please don't feel like that means that you should sort of fluff it up with words. Just as in Jonathan's paper, the idea is to convey the most information with the fewest words. And in my course, you do that with active verbs, active words, fewer words, more direct speech. And so the same tenet goes. So you're kind of using the same brain for both of these, which sometimes you have to switch brains. In this case, same brain. So if you're thinking, how do I get to the word count then? Add more content, real content, pull out all extra words. This will be valued in terms of your grade, but more importantly, in terms of successful communication. So that's just the point I wanted to make. Anything that I can do, again, to support you with this or with anything in your HIM section, we're in this together. So contact either Jonathan or I, and we're here for you.
Absolutely. Yeah, and then when you're like working on those papers too, just or for the HIM paper, try not to like restate like the question that you're addressing, because it's a narrative, right? So you're walking through the end user or the reader through the idea of clinical documentation improvement and how it fits in. So as you're addressing those questions, don't waste your valuable space restating, this is the question I'm supposed to do. Just theme it through. So the theme is clinical documentation improvement, and you're weaving the answers into it. So 2 pages is a short amount of time, especially double spaced. So guard your words carefully. Guard what fluff is in there, because I don't think there's going to be room for much fluff, especially if you're doing it correctly. So that's part of the challenge, but you guys can do this. And I'm happy giving you guys tips on how to consolidate, because that's what I used to do. So, all right, enjoy everybody, and good luck surviving the crazy windstorm out there. It's been nuts this morning.
Crazy.
So, yeah, we almost lost a tree in the neighborhood, so I'm glad it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But all right, take care, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Have a wonderful week.